Therefore, we get to this discussion that is really crucial as we look forward to a great day. The Safari Rally conversation is here. Everyone is excited. I hope you are as excited. I mean, after quite a long time. Also, some political leaders leaning towards the Building Bridges initiative have equally proposed the postponement of the elections to allow for a referendum process that was declared null and void by six-judge bench of the Constitutional Court. Well, this morning we ask, what is the lifeline of BBI as many struggle to fix their plans of 2022? That is the game plan 2022. We'll be engaging experts so that they can tell us their view on this and what they think then moving forward we should be doing as a country. Does it stand a chance? Does it not? And if it doesn't, what then would it mean for our political space come 2022 as numerous people equally flex their muscles? So keep it right here. Be part and parcel of the conversation. Hashtag Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV47KE. We get to sample some of your comments as we proceed with the broadcast. My name is Linda Alela and this is Morning Cafe. So let's kickstart. Karibu sana. Briefly, we look at what has been captured on the papers, the front page of the People Daily, the Standard newspaper, and the Daily Nation. What has been captured here is the Standard newspaper, and they speak of what? Let me see. Mostly the Standard newspaper, the soft copy and the hard copy are sometimes a bit different, so therefore we need to match and know whether they are speaking the same language. Indeed, they are. The Raila NASA gamble. Here we are. Four NASA principals are walking a tightrope as far as the future of their troubled coalition is concerned, and besides eating into the plans to dump each other, well, the design of the coalition agreement does not insulate them from vagaries or hard politics a full year into the election, and that's what we'll be looking at. Remember, the conversation of the day is on the game plan 2022, even as numerous leaders flex their muscles, prepare themselves, looking at the big gamble. And of course, that's what we'll be looking at this morning. To kill or to save the coalition that is NASA coalition is one question we'll be asking the specialist this morning. This as IEBC comes out to say that then will not have new constituencies, cautioning what it is that the BBI had proposed, that is in 2022. And we are speaking of the 70 constituencies that had been proposed with the Building Bridges initiative bill. Now, the electoral agency has ruled out any possibilities of drawing new boundaries for constituencies before the next poll. That is a story captured on page 6 of the Daily Nation. We'll be having this conversation and what it means. Is it a polite way of telling us then that the BBI has no space anymore? And to the biggest story, thrills as Safari Rally makes loud comeback. That's what we'll be looking at. Also, we'll be having our team on ground to make a follow-up on this, as of course it starts captured on page 3. Page 54, 55, and 56. After 19-year hiatus or hiatus, well, the global rally showpiece resumes on Kenya soil with a super special stage at Kasarani before snaking its way to Naivasha for the real thing. It's going to be a thrill indeed, and many people will tell you that Naivasha is packed this time around. You would not easily get space if you want to get a room there, because everyone is excited about this whole thing, and almost all the roads are headed to that direction. We wait to see to experience the thrill, as we'll also be following up keenly on this end. Trouble in Uhuru's paradise as 4 members of parliament switch camp. That is also one thing that we'll be looking at. Well, the latest, the likes of Kiambu woman representative, that is Gathoni Wamushomba, who taken this direction, and then that means that of course Jubilee is evidently shaking. But is it the case? The gentleman that we'll be having this morning will tell us whether Jubilee has got anything then to show, and even as the ODM would probably seek to work in tandem or work together with Jubilee. The biggest question is, what is this that they're bringing on board? Some members of parliament arguing that, well, Jubilee as it stands is a shell and therefore cannot offer much in terms of guaranteeing an a win, that is in the event that they merge together, or guaranteeing at least to bring something on the table. In the conversation of coalitions, the biggest question will always be, what is this that you're bringing on the table? And therefore, it is very, very important that Jubilee tells the people of ODM whether indeed they have got nothing to offer, or they have got something, to offer in terms of making sure that this then works as a coalition, getting them to presidency or whatever top post will be then. Struggling counties get 43 billion, a reprieve for them, but they still say that they would require more. A story captured on page 8. And as it is, the governors were so excited yesterday, extremely happy, the fact that the National Treasury had proceeded to probably give them something small to cushion them at this point when they were struggling. They had not been able to pay their bills, not the salaries, and the counties were getting at a level of stall up. But then this then comes as a reprieve, but they say they would still need more. Captured on page 8. And Kenya's super rich defy COVID-19. That is the aspect of business page, the business conversations that are still on, and the fact that, well, we still are struggling with COVID-19 here. Numerous cases, the cases of death also going high. And that is to tell you that as a people, then we need to come back to the drawing board and understand the importance of abiding by the protocols given by the Ministry of Health. That is on the front page of the Standard newspaper. And the Daily Nation, CBC, new plan for junior secondary, that is in regards to matters education. And this is a story that is captured on the front page, expounded on page 10. Ministry expects about 27% rise in secondary school population in 2023. And there's a space hurdle for some children. Transition to high school will come with no change of scenery following CS George Magoha's revelation that select primary schools will be upgraded to host the junior secondary wings when the pioneer class crosses over in 2023, as captured on page 10, as I have mentioned right there. And about the CBC, the competency-based curriculum is designed to emphasize skills, to look into the knowledge development under the CBC. Children spend 2 years in primary, 6 years in primary. That is junior primary, and then 6 years in primary, 3 years in junior secondary, and 3 years in senior secondary. That is the conversation that is on. Also, the government releasing some funds to make sure that they cushion them at this point. Ministry expects about 27% rise in secondary school population in 2023. And away from it, the politics on the Daily Nation. ODM, why we need Kalonzo and Mudavadi. And in a departure from the hardline stand taken by party in recent months, the chairman, John Badi, has maintained or has made a bold admission that ODM needs the support of Kalonzo Musyoka and the likes of Musalia Mudavadi to stand a chance of winning the 2022 election. Biggest question is, well, they had them, the previous elections, that is in 2017, were not able to garner anything. What makes them think that it will be a different affair altogether? The conversation that we have this morning. And another story, Treasury releases 43.5 billion. We've looked at that. Hope for loan after positive IMF review, and Kenya is confident it will secure about 41 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund to support the streamlining of government operations, citing a positive review by the global lender. They always say it's good to be on the good books of IMF. It is safer as a nation. At some point in time, we've not been in their good books, and it was so tight for the country. But again, we also are worried as to how much we are running into debt. Just what can we do to make sure that we get ourselves off the hook? How many times have we borrowed to make sure that we sustain some debt on the other end, creating more trouble for the people of Kenya or for the taxpayer, as of course, differently from what we would expect. Will he bounce back? That is in regards to former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko. Fate now rests in the judge's hands. A story captured on page 12. Conversation that is on in regards to addressing the numerous graft charges that have been leveled on his head, and therefore we wait to see how the courts will deliberate on these cases, then to dictate on what direction he takes and whether he will have a chance to talk matters politics again. Finally, the Safari Rally action starts. That is something that we are observing keenly, and to a sad story that is captured on page 12, but of course briefly on the front page, how wife of slain businessman cheated death. Susan Wangari was to meet her husband, but heavy traffic on Thika Road and a vehicular mishap at Kamakis near Ruiru Town, Kiambu County, might have saved her life on a Tuesday afternoon. It's actually good news, not as sad for that matter. This is the one that is sad in regards to the numerous murder cases that we witness in the country, and also crimes of passion. That away, the People Daily briefly, IEBC, we are not ready for 2022 poll. Is it so? Well, let's get to hear what the Commission says. Electoral Commission says it does not have adequate funding to start preparations for the general election, and time is also running out for key events. A story captured on page 4 and 5. And therefore, we wait to see how IEBC will be fixed and how then they get funding so that they are able to prepare themselves. Remember, it is key that they do early preparations, if at all. We are to realize a free and fair electoral process. And so we discuss that later on. And reprieve for the counties also has been captured on the front page, expounded on page 8 of the People Daily. The Safari Rally conversation is here with us, and the defections that we have witnessed, the likes of Gathonium Mushumba, that is the woman representative of Kiambu, declaring that she officially, joins the Hustler Nation. And so it is again as Mount Kenya members of parliament join Ruto, which is something probably he needs, if at all he is to secure anything come 2022. And coming from the mountain of vote-rich region, definitely it is a huge, huge plus for the deputy president. So much captured on the paper. We'll be looking at that as we proceed. But let's look at what my team has prepared. A normal traffic flow on the Thika Road Superhighway and Uhuru Highway will be disrupted for about 5 hours. That is to pave way for the official flagging off of the Safari Rally at the Kenyatta International Convention Center, KICC, Thursday. Although the said roads will not be crossed, motorists have been advised to seek alternative routes owing to the precedented huge traffic disruption. Also remember, there will be also flagging off from the end of Kasarani, and therefore we'll be following up on the same just to keep you up to tabs. But then again, you need to be keen so that you're not caught in traffic. Avoid those particular roads that I have mentioned.
Motorists who use the Thika Superhighway and Uhuru Highway will have to contend with massive traffic disruption as a World Rally Championship kicks off tomorrow. Traffic flow will be disrupted from 8 a.m. when vehicles leave Kasarani Stadium for KICC up to 12 noon when the ceremonial flag off will take place.
Between 8 up to midday, that is coming to KICC, there will be that disruption when these cars will be driven from Kasarani to KICC. And then from 12:45, when these cars are being flagged off, there would be that disruption of the traffic as these cars leave KICC through Uhuru Highway towards where? Towards Kasarani, and then from Kasarani towards Naivasha. That period, there will be some kind of interruption. That is, we are trying to make some highlight for all motorists to bear with us so that we see that this activity goes on safely.
Traffic will also be disrupted momentarily on Parliament Road, Haile Selassie Avenue, Uhuru Highway and Professor Wangari Maathai Road as the vehicles head to Ngomongo area in Kasarani, where the special spectator stand is. The vehicles will then use the Thika Superhighway onto Muthaiga Road and then to Naivasha, where the rally will officially kick off on Friday.
Now, when they are flagged off from Ngomongo, they will again come to negotiate Thika Road to Muthaiga Junction, to join Muthaiga Road all through way to Limuru as they proceed to Naivasha.
Nairobi Area Traffic Commandant has urged all road users and spectators to abide by the regulations from police officers and marshals who will be guiding the traffic flow. Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed says all preparations are ready and urged all participants not to let down the guard in regard to adhering to COVID-19 containment protocols.
MOH has not suspended its protocols. The protocols are in place. Whether it's protocols with respect to the wearing of masks, social distancing, right, or protocols that relate to the curfew.
The World Rally Championship will run through to Sunday and is expected to pump 7 billion Kenya shillings to the economy. Mwangi Maina, TV47, Nairobi.
And now, in less than 24 hours, Naivasha will have a realization of its dreams of playing host to the return of the World Rally Championship. Locals are bracing for the height of the season, with the hospitality sector being the greatest beneficiary. Our reporter Willie Dennis Njeru with this story.
It's all systems go for the great town of Happy Valley, Naivasha. Time has been of essence as there are isolated hiccups to those lagging behind in the assignments allocated to them. Amenities in and around Naivasha town have been spruced up. Streetlights are fully functional, road signage freshly done, others have had fresh markings, and some, such as the A104 Trunk Road, now have the cat's eyes reflectors.
Tumepewa pressure sababu lazima town irebeke. Sababu ndio ina hold hii rally ya hii wakati. Na lazima ikuwe mzuri kwa wageni wetu wenye watakuja.
Naonelea kwa hii WC Kenya tumeona imefanyika sana ni kupaka marangi, mabarabara, hakuna drainage, hakuna nini. Hiyo ndio tunaona hivyo, tunajua rangi ndio inakuwa kitu ya mwisho. Sasa nina shida, kwani imekuwaje rangi ndio inaanza kuliko kutengeneza mabarabara kwenye kufai? Kwa sababu marangi imepelekwa kwenye kufai. Tunaona hatujatayarisha vizuri.
Kuna kila mahali kumekuwa repaired. Barabara zimetengenezwa vizuri, hakuna excuse sababu tunafanya mchana na usiku. Kazi ni mzuri kwa kila mtu.
Engine, while to others it's a time to show the size of the pimped ride.
Let us be welcoming. Most of them are foreigners. They don't know the way. They're using Google Maps, so let us be of assistance to when we meet them. Let us be humble to them when we meet them in the shopping malls and everywhere in the streets.
With an influx of guests expected in town to witness the moment, the hotels are already fully booked and only share frustrations to the last-minute bookers.
Sisi tuko tayari kupokea wageni. Nyama ni kwa wingi, tumefanya order, tuko na ng'ombe kama 10 hivi. Tuko tayari kukaribisha wageni wetu.
Tuko prepared na kukaribisha wageni wenye wanakuja Naivasha. Tuko tayari kuwagojea, tuko na nyama, tunauza, tumeoda kila nyama kila mahali.
The 57 cars enlisted for the starting list are expected to leave the KWS Park Farm for the competitive section Friday. The course will cut through Chui Lodge, Kedong and Serien, covering a total of 132.08 kilometers. Reporting for TV47 from the host town of the WRC, Naivasha in Nakuru County, I'm Willie Dennis Njeru.
All right, here we are. A Kenya Revenue Authority on Wednesday launched the largest ever auction in Mombasa, the mega auction, which consists of more than 300 cars and assorted goods from 223 containers, is expected to enable the tax collector to pocket at least 200 million shillings. Our reporter Petronila Goren attended the auction, and here are the details.
Hundreds of Kenyans showed up at the port of Mombasa where the auction was taking place, ready to bid for the 314 cars and assorted goods such as household items, furniture and clothes from the 223 containers. KRA had gazetted the items from warehouses after the importers failed to collect their goods after the 30-day storage expired.
Natazamia kupata gari ya fix ndogo ambao nimeona one of the service kule Focus. Na naona vile ambavyo program iko hapa ni nzuri na wanatushughulikia.
My main interest hapa ni nataka nipate pickup ya biashara. So that's why nimekuja hapa, na nilikuwa nimekuwa introduce na friend wangu alikuwa amenitumia sample ya magari. So ndio nikapata hiyo interest ya kuja. So nafurahia sana siku ya leo and I'm hopeful itakuwa successful.
According to the tax collector, the auction will assist in collecting more revenue and decongesting the port of Mombasa, hence enabling efficiency and swiftness in delivering services.
Everybody has a chance, an equal chance to win. The auction process is always an avenue for KRA to collect extra taxes, and particularly the timing of this auction is almost at the end of the financial year. So we will be hoping, we will be banking on you to ensure that we will get some additional revenue.
At the end of the 2-day exercise that ends on Thursday, KRA hopes to have auctioned all the cargo in a bid to beat the deadline of the closure of the financial year that ends on 30th June.
400 or 176.
For TV47 from Mombasa County, I'm Petronila Gorin.
Petronila for that. Take advantage of the same, you never know. Now, the second rollout of the COVID-19 vaccine gathered steam on Wednesday morning in the country, with long queues being witnessed at various health facilities tasked with the administration of the same and the jabs. And the rollout comes at a sigh of relief after hundreds of thousands of Kenyans who until earlier this week had not remained in the dark in regards to whether they get the second jab. Let's take a look at that.
For the better part of Wednesday, long queues were the order of the day at the Gotv County Hospital in Nairobi, as the administration of the second and final shot in the arms of Kenyans who were partially vaccinated picked up pace. The second round of vaccination that had ground to a halt until earlier this week, following a vaccine scarcity crisis, will see up to 358,700 Kenyans who had hitherto received their first dose and were due for the second one receive a shot in the arm. Hopes for a second dose were ignited following the arrival of a consignment of doses from Denmark, even as the country grapples with a low uptake of the second dose. As of Tuesday, the uptake was at 19.5%, meaning that just 194,475 Kenyans out of the 996,414 who received their initial dose were fully armored in the raging war against COVID-19. That number is, however, expected to tremendously grow in the coming days if today's shift in the jab uptake tide is anything to go by, with the government keen on administering 50,000 doses a day.
The first one is to protect yourself from the virus. Then the second one will be to protect others from the virus. So I think it's very important.
Nilikuwa na hofu kwa sababu Minister of Health walikuwa wamesema kwa hizi chanjo haziwezi changanywa. So nilikuwa na jinsi pengine kutakuaje, na niliposikia kuwa ishara ya pili imekuja nilifurahia.
Alive to the fact that its doses arsenal could be depleted in the coming days, and with the Danish consignment termed a mere drop in the ocean, officials from the Ministry of Health have since trained their guns to other countries dishing out vaccines to acquire more doses. Out of the countries is the United States, which has since included Kenya in its list of beneficiaries in a 14 million Pfizer vaccine shipment.
I'm confident even what we got 1 or 2 days ago will quickly be deployed and will yearn for more doses to come.
This as the Council of Governors Chair Martin Wambora called for the equitable share of the vaccine doses at a time when counties from the Lakeside region continue to bear the heavier brunt in terms of COVID-19 transmission alongside Nairobi.
Who have the capacity, who have the funds, they have to liaise with the Ministry of Health, MOH, and also KEMSA, the newly constituted KEMSA.
The country is now expecting to receive an additional 182,000 doses later this week. Barely days after the second round of COVID-19 vaccination in the country received a shot in the arm, the Ministry of Health now risks running out of COVID-19 jabs in the coming hours or days should it not acquire more batches to bolster the war on COVID-19. David Mudhoka, TV47 at the Gotv County Hospital, Nairobi.
Treasury says it has released at least 43.5 billion shillings to county governments after months of cash crunch in the devolved units. However, county bosses say they are yet to receive the funds just days to the closure of the 2020-2021 financial year, as Joash Ansari reports.
The National Treasury has disbursed 43.5 billion shillings to the counties for the financial year of 2020-2021. However, governors want the 58.9 billion shillings balance released before the end of this financial year in 7 days.
Earlier today, an additional 39.244 billion was dispersed, bringing the equitable share balance onto the counties to 58.906 billion.
Treasury says the payment of pending bills will be closely monitored and the future transfers weighed against the fulfillment of important obligations to the private sector. CS Ukuru Yatani says this is to spur economic activity at the county level as part of our ongoing and inclusive economic recovery program after months of delay in the disbursement of funds. Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru, however, says the funds released will only cater for the months of March and April.
We still have money for May and June not given, and we are like 7 days to the end of the financial year. And if you are covering the audit, you will see most of the audit questions that, like Kirinyaga County has been asked, is actually between about discrepancies between the financial statements and the IFMIS report.
County bosses had threatened to shut down services at their counties if the funds were not released.
If you believed in devolution, you would put emphasis first on devolution. Hata kama pesa ziko, kwanza unalisha devolution. Alafu baadaye unalisha wengine. Lakini you cannot say that the government is so broke that they have not had any money to do anything, and yet we know counties, national government wamelipa mishahara, majeshi wamelipa, polisi wamelipa mishahara. Our counties will not pay our people. Kwani watu wetu waliumbwa na shetani na our national government wakaumbwa na Mwenyezi Mungu? Hapana, ni madharau.
Joash Onsare, TV47, Nairobi.
Now, discrepancies in the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, to conclude its poll preparations before August next year has caught the attention of the members of the Senate Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, with the IEBC leadership differing on the Electoral Body's capacity to create 70 new constituencies if the BBI bill passes through the courts now. And as Musa Salah reports, IEBC has only about 140,000 new voters since the 2017 general election, but IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati says the commission is cash-strapped, further raising concerns on the commission's preparedness.
A slug in the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC's timelines in preparation for the 2022 general election could see the postponement of the polls next year.
The commissioners of IEBC,
while appearing before Senate's Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, discrepancies in the Commission's timeline set the JLAC members uneasy as the IEBC leadership deferred on the Commission's ability to conduct boundary reviews before August next year.
You know, I've had some people out there who, in the marketplace, talking about postponing elections. And this is central to the presidential elections, because presidential elections are held in constituencies.
When you look at the competing resources, the human resource that is going to be used, the challenges in terms of financing, Mr. Chairman, I don't see it feasible that we'll be able to do boundaries now and complete it and use the same in the general election.
I think there is a number of contradictions. I don't know whether I should trust Mrs. Kamindo or I should trust Marijan. Ms. Kamindo says you can adjust the timetable and have the 7 constituencies in place. The CEO says that is not practical. So I don't know what position we are going to take as a committee.
As far as the commission is concerned, this matter is sub judice, and we cannot possibly, as a commission, now plan on a matter which is in court.
This even as IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati raised the issues with the budget allocation, claiming the budgetary constraints has slowed down its voter registration plans. According to Chebukati, IEBC has had no budget since the 2017 general election, and that has had a ripple effect on its pre-2022 polls plan.
And now between 2017 2021, we can only raise we register 150,000 new voters. Don't you think, Banasio, that there is a serious gap there? Something is not adding up.
There has been no budget allocated to us the last 3 years for CBR. It's only now that with the next financial year we have been allocated some budget which will now enable the Commission to roll out mass voter registration.
Members of civil societies, including 2022 candidates, have questioned IEBC's capacity to hold the 2022 general election, insisting the polls will take place in August next year.
The next elections will be on the 9th of August 2022, and nobody can do anything about it.
However, IEBC has proposed several legal enactments, including the Election Campaign Financing Amendment Bill of 2016 to regulate aspirants' expenditure on campaigns. Although unofficial and going by IEBC's proposed formula, presidential candidates' expenditure is set at 5.2 billion shillings. Governors, senators and women reps will be allowed to spend a maximum of 433 million shillings, while members of parliament and county assemblies will each be allowed to spend a maximum of 33 and 10 million shillings respectively. Musa Salah, TV 47.
I have my guests on standby already so that we can ponder on that. Remember that story by Musa Salah forms the basis of our conversation this morning as we look at the possibilities of one BBI sailing through as holding an election, a free and fair one for that matter. But before we even delve into that, I think it's only fair that we briefly look at other stories that have as well been captured on the papers that are equally of great importance alongside the guests this morning. We have Ahmed Hashi, governance expert, who joins us this morning. There's a tweet I've looked at, and I'd love for you to tell us why you strongly feel like maybe the Kenyan government should take such a direction. This one on Kenya should send its armed forces to the border with Ethiopia. A massive conflict is ongoing. That is very crucial. We need to understand that amid the fears again, and the army that we've sent it, to Somalia. It's not been all rosy.
I'm shocked that you know that what I'm doing on Twitter.
Oh yes, I do.
I'm deeply touched.
You better.
I want to say hello to my friend as well here next.
Yes.
It's Ethiopia is the heart of Africa. It is where the African Union sits.
Yeah.
It is the symbol of African unity. If Ethiopia fails, all of Africa fails.
Yeah.
There's a few countries in Africa that hold other countries together. In the west, it's Nigeria. In the north, it's Egypt. Here, Kenya and Ethiopia are the linchpins of about 20 states in the region. Without these two countries, we would be in a lot of trouble. Now, Ethiopia, as the viewers know, and it's really important for us to have an international angle to our news analysis, because we just don't live in an isolated country, we live in a region. So you know that we had the Nobel Prize winner, Mr. Abiy, who's a great fresh breath air that came into Ethiopia. And unfortunately, the TPLF, this was the government that was the leading coalition, the EPRDF, the ruling coalition in Ethiopia. The Abiy Ahmed was elected as prime minister, and the TPLF walked away in half.
Right.
They then went to Tigray, their home province, and they conducted an election, an illegal election, opposed to the government, which was supposed to be a national
the current election that we have,
or the current election that we're having now.
You think was illegal?
No, not this one. They did their own. In their own province.
Yes.
It's like Nyanza conducting their own national elections, so it's terrible. So, and then the TPLF attacked a military barracks in Ethiopia, which was inside Tigray, and all hell has broken loose.
Right.
However, the government of Ethiopia has acted in a very disproportionate way. In fact, they bombed, we're not sure if it was a collateral damage mistake or it was intended, but about over 150 to 200 civilians I hear are dead. And I think that the someone is arming the TPLF surreptitiously, and the Kenya army needs to go to our border and make sure that nothing spills over to Moyale, because there's the population of Ethiopia is 110 million.
Yeah.
So I urge our security services and the armed forces and the defense secretary to really do a proper, thorough analysis of this and send security forces there just in case anything spills over into our borders.
All right, that's an interesting view, and I hope that such, again, should be addressed, but I do not know what dangers then it comes along with and how then this would be welcome. But then if it guarantees peaceful coexistence, it is indeed necessary. Honorable Member of Parliament, that is David Ole Sankok, good to have you this morning. I see you're an early bird. I'm impressed at the fact that you also slept late. Yes. I saw you here yesterday. I was following and I loved the conversation. So karibu sana, good to have you this morning.
Asante sana Linda, and I'm very happy to be here. I was here yesterday, but on a different program.
Yeah.
And I'm here today. And
I'm happy.
Waiting to hear what you are asking.
Asante. And I'll probably task us to, briefly engage on what it is that Hashi raises. Really important. But first, allow me to also, invite your namesake, Dr. David Nyekorach Masanga, who joins us virtually. Dr. David Masanga is the Chair Pan-African Forum. Good to have you, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
Masanga, how
yes.
nice.
Good morning, Linda.
Good morning. Well, I can hear Daktari, but the rest of the guests cannot hear Daktari. What do we do? Yes, we're going to fix that in a few. Daktari, let's just hold it so that they are able to fix. All right, yes. Good morning.
Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Hash. Good morning, my comrade. The only comrade that we fought together on one side. I hope we are still on one side.
Yes, I hope so too. Oh yes, and just to pick it up.
And Linda, I like Hash's statements. He's always frank, open, and I'm happy to see him here today to engage him.
Well, let me greet my friend who I've known for a long time in one of the languages of East Africa, Orotia Sebo. Chi Sebo.
Burunji Sebo.
Burunji Sebo.
Webale nyo.
Webale nyo.
Katonda kukume.
All right, there you go, Daktari, and probably just to come back to you, Mheshimiwa, this issue of Ethiopia, it's not all rosy. The fact that it hosts the African Union, the fact that things are not in order down there, generally just to look at the tension that comes along with elections, in the African countries, that raises lots of fears. To imagine that there is an election, or they have conducted an election, the vote is being counted, and on this other side, the city is bombed or is attacked, and people have to lose their lives, is one that is displaced, is one that is worrying, is one that gets us wondering, what is the African Union doing towards ensuring that there's this peaceful coexistence, one in Ethiopia and across the African continent?
First of all, Linda, Dr. Masanga, we had fought with him, the International Criminal Court, and we were in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, for several AU summits, and also for the state party. Assembly of State Parties in Netherlands and also in New York. Yeah. And I thank God we were together that time in one side. But this time it is unfortunate.
You're not
that politically
you're not on the same side. It was interesting to watch.
I'm tangatangering, and I think
officially for the very first time Mheshimiwa declares that.
No, I've always been tangatangering, and I'm always a hustler, and hustler, tangatangas and Jubilee are one and the same.
Okay.
So I think Masanga is still a bit late in tangatangering, but I'm sure he's also on his way, because you have seen that there's a stampede.
He can never.
There is a stampede in Karen. Very soon,
Matsanga is going to try and interrupt.
And very soon, there will be a stampede, and I'm sure they are on their way. And I invite him before it is closed. But in our Hustlers Mansion, there are very many rooms, so they can come. So on this issue of Ethiopia, being one of the leaders in this country, a member of parliament for that matter.
Yeah.
I will reserve my comments because I don't want to bring any issue with any diplomatic role.
Okay.
But Kenya's security forces have all the right, and that is their duty, to protect Kenyans.
Right.
So for them, they must protect
At what point would you conclude that this then would trigger, you know, a diplomatic or a chief, for that matter, if a member of parliament is to address this one somehow?
This is the thinking of Tanga Tanga as far as foreign policy is concerned. So I think we should throw caution to the wind when people's lives are at stake, madam.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable.
I think you had
your time. Why don't you allow me my time?
Right.
You commented the way you wanted to comment.
I agree with
Nobody interrupted you. You know, you should
go ahead.
Hyper, Pana, relax, my friend.
All right, but then his argument on that. Probably let's get it at the middle and allow.
For me, it's just inappropriate.
I have to make sure that I have.
Yeah, but when it's inappropriate, there needs to be challenged, because you're saying people are losing lives and we should not say anything about it because of diplomacy. What diplomacy?
So we give you enough time to talk?
No, I'm just saying it's inappropriate. The people who are losing their lives deserve people to speak out in their favor. That's all I'm saying.
As a member of parliament, what then would you expect from him in terms of, you know, addressing the same?
Let him say it.
He has already said.
Well, you know, I'm also aspiring to be a member of parliament.
Yes.
And I think that the role of the parliamentarian is not to be quiet or to look at diplomatic niceties. If you want to have diplomatic niceties, you should join the Foreign Office. But as far as I'm concerned, African lives matter.
Okay.
And if we don't pay attention to the lives of people of color and people who have gone through hell in this continent, and in a way of saying that we are not going to allow civil war and confrontation to continue into our region, because it's going to cause economic failure for us, it's going to bring down integration, it's going to bring down the East African community that we want to build.
You know,
there's a relevance between Ethiopia and Kenya, because we've got the Lamu port, we've got the Lapset that's going to Ethiopia, we've built the highway to Ethiopia. How is it possible not to speak about Ethiopia?
Right to response.
Linda,
yes.
You should not dictate what I should say in a forum.
Right.
Because first of all, not all of us are endowed with verbal diarrhea, that you can just say anything without doing much research. I've said, and that is very specific, that our security forces, their sole duty and mandate is first of all to secure our border, to secure our citizens, and to make sure that our citizens are safe. From there on, we can now go on and say that there was bombing, there was whatever. You know, you cannot just verbal diarrhea. For me, I'm not even sure that there was bombing in Ethiopia. Why should I now interfere with other countries? You know, you cannot just rush to media houses because you want popularity, start interfering with Ethiopia, which of course is a good neighbor. We still have a good relationship with Ethiopia. That is why we are talking about Lapset and other issues, the Moyale road from Isiolo to Moyale all the way to Ethiopia. My friend, we have to secure and make sure that what we talk about, he have just indicated that he is not sure if 200 people lost their lives. He's not sure if it was a bombing
it's in the public domain.
or it was a mistake.
Public domain that there was that
he's saying he does not know if it was a mistake or it is an intentional bombing. You know, I cannot just make such irrational.
Dr. Masanga, I am reserving this so that you can speak last as a Pan-Africanist. But first, let's allow Hashi say something briefly. Make it brief so that we can loop in Dr. Masanga.
This is what's called confusion made worse, confounded. I'm a very strong supporter of the Ethiopian government and very strong supporter of Abiy Ahmed, and everybody knows that. What we're talking about is there is a sense. Don't I look like one? Look, the point of the matter is this kind of nonsense that
we have to take it slow. It's pretty much a gentleman for us to take that.
Speak, so I'm going to interrupt him if he speaks next time, so that we won't have a debate. Either we agree to listen to each other.
Gentlemen, we have to take this in order. You know, I mean, we're just beginning. We're just beginning.
Yes.
So he did, and you.
Yeah. So we've agreed. So we've agreed. So we have agreed. So what we agree now is that he gets a chance and I get another chance.
Let's have some order. Dr. Masanga, you are a Pan-Africanist. We have started so early on this one, but then it's a matter of concern, and I agree. And such is what is probably likely to culminate in the event that we do not get this at a point of order, or we do not speak about it. So, what do you make of the argument that we have on board, especially when we're looking at that sobriety that is needed across the African continent to guarantee us peaceful coexistence?
Thank you very much. The gentlemen in the studio, both of them are my friends. And I'm an elder, 65 years old. I want now to speak with authority and wisdom. One, and so that we cool the temperature. Don't argue because you want to argue. Some of us have been on this planet longer than both of you. And we have seen conflict. First, with Hashi, I agree. Ethiopia is the linchpin of African development, like Kenya. Ethiopia is the headquarters of African Union.
Thank you.
That's correct. Two, equally, David Sankok, he said our national army should guard our borders. I'm hearing very well, and by the way, I'm an expert of recording each and everything, because I would have been taken down by Ocampo and Fatou Bensouda, but I defeated them on this tactic. They went on making silly mistakes across Africa, and I'm glad I'm following them in private citizenship. I will arrest them. Two, on the question of Ethiopia and the conflict, I warned Africa that it was a very terrible mistake. By the way, Hashi, I want to tell you, Zenawi, Ifekas Sesayas, go and ask him, fly to Asmara and ask him, Dr. Tedros of World Health Organization were housed in one office in London by the British government from 1987, 89, 87, 88, 89, 90 until the Ethiopian war broke out. Therefore, I have authority. I know all of them. I know who is a terrorist and who is not a terrorist. And I want to tell you, it was a very terrible mistake for the Prime Minister of Ethiopia to shake hands with my brother Ephias. Wait. He should have waited. I'm an African who speaks my mind out. What will you do? Do I need to go to Eritrea for what? What will you do? I'll speak my mind. It was terrible. You know why Zenawi died? When he had refused to shake the hands of our brother. We used to go to football classes, football missions, Arsenal, which was near our office. But our brother did not even want us to have to come late, even by 1 minute. Then we said, we are not children.
Mr. Papa, to give us a summary.
In a summary, I wanted to bring that record to cool down the temperatures in the studio. You can see the temperature. If I don't cool down Hashi and David, you will soon have no debate there.
Right.
And now,
can I intervene?
On the question of the war, I agree with Hashi that the time has come that Kenya should not just sit and watch.
Correct.
Kenya is a member of the United Nations Security Council for the Sub-Saharan Africa. One, Kenya is a member of the Peace and Commission, Peace Security Commission of AU. Clapping hands and running around in the foreign affairs without coming in to make a statement very clear.
Yeah.
We have a problem.
Hold it right there. Dr. For purposes of balance, Hashi would love to raise something. And gentlemen, let's make this brief
short.
Because
let's make it short and get into the real issues inside our country.
Right.
For the people who gave Ethiopia the name of the Greeks, which means a person with a black face. So any person of African descent is an Ethiopian by nature and by history. This country called Kenya was invented in 1960. It was named after a steamboat that was going to the Juba Valley. So we are all Ethiopians, and this is a progressive way of thinking. But I want to make a very important point. The Ethiopian government and the people of Ethiopia are brothers and sisters, and all we want for them is peace and prosperity. We are connected at the hip with Ethiopia and Uganda and Tanzania and Somalia. We're one big nation, the East African community.
I don't know how much we can declare
now,
this propaganda, but you've seen also videos making rounds from Somalia, Somali citizens arguing that, well, Kenya is killing us, Kenyan soldiers are doing this and all that.
That's a different subject altogether.
Okay.
But what we're talking about is this issue in Ethiopia, and what we want to do is to make sure that that civilians are protected, that civilians get aid in Tigray, and we want to tell the government of Ethiopia to make sure that happens. The TPLF, an organization that has caused a lot of problems in this region of Africa, has been defeated militarily. The government there has a responsibility to help the people of Tigray and to make sure that stability and peace comes to Ethiopia, because all we want to do is trade with them, have relations of prosperity with them, so that the people of the two countries in the region can move ahead.
Dr. Sankok.
Yes, I still insist, and I thank Dr. Masanga, that we really have to make sure that our citizens are safe. And again, Kenya have to pronounce itself on any conflict that is happening, not only in Ethiopia, but in any other country that is neighboring us, even out throughout the world. But there is channels of making those pronunciations. It is not verbal diarrhea from street vendors. It is a diplomatic way of handling such issues. And I will be taken seriously if I declare my stand on who I support or who I don't support in the election of Ethiopia or whatever, because I'm a member of parliament, to cry out loud. Right. I don't just speak for the sake of speaking. There must be a decision that have been made by parliament, so that when I pronounce myself as a member of parliament, then I don't just say for the sake of saying or for the sake of entertainment. Right. There is a difference between you being a member of parliament and being any other person, because we have also to safeguard our diplomacy. And we have to safeguard countries that are still friendly to us. And we have a channel. We have an official spokesperson of this country in the name of the head of state, who can delegate that official spokesmanship to probably the minister in charge of foreign affairs, or even delegate it to parliament, or bring a bill that require us to probably reorganize our relationship with neighboring countries. But before that, I don't know who I support. I don't have any preferred candidate in any election outside this country.
Dr. Masanga, you need to close on this one. And in the name of diplomacy and following procedures, we have gotten to mistakes that we've probably not been able to reverse. And therefore, how quick can we move in speed, or how fast can we move to make sure that we address this? Because yes, we would say that we want to follow the diplomatic channels, but then time is moving, people are losing their lives, trouble is brewing. I mean, when we're talking about an airstrike, hitting Ethiopia, and we are all sitting pretty as Africans, don't you think it is cause for alarm?
I think both gentlemen in the studio are correct, only that the temperatures are high. There is need now.
Already cool.
And actually, our need now as the younger generation, you people, have to stand up and say it as it is. Sankok and you, we are in the sunset going home. The younger people must say, AU has failed us. The African Union has been captured. Don't blame yourselves. Blame Musa Mahamat Faki, the chairperson of African Union, a French DSG agent working for the French, who has been captured, and he has nothing to say. Ethiopia is the headquarters African Union. How can a country with the headquarters be the country fighting within the country, and we fly there to talk about peace? The African Union, first, has failed us. Two, the question of Eritrea ganging up with Ethiopia and hiring Somali nationals to go and fight in Tigray. It's now evident that the United Nations Security Council has gathered enough evidence to pin, and very soon sanctions are coming on some leaders in the region. Kenya knows that. And President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is now the African representative at the United Nations Security Council. So for me, the whole blame Hashi is the failure of African Union, which has divided itself into French and English speaking.
Absolutely.
Mr. Muhammad Faki and Hashi, if you have not been seeing me for a long time, I swore over my dead body that I will never go to Addis Ababa until Muhammad Faki is removed from power.
I couldn't agree
and
with you
I've
more.
told him I don't like him, I hate him. He has divided Africa. Thank you.
Well, of course, that would then open the conversation of the fact that we had our own Amina Mohammed who was fronted but wasn't so lucky on that. But we close this debate.
Let's close
this debate at that. The Safari Rally is here. I mean, now that we look at the papers briefly, what, a minute or thereabout. How then does it come
it gives us Miss Amina Mohammed here at the Heritage is doing a good job on this. And I think that the Safari Rally helps Kenyan get exposure internationally. It will bring investment. It helps us have some fun. I remember as a kid growing up here in Ngong, the Safari Rally was one of the biggest events for us as kids. You remember that?
Yeah.
So I think that the East African Safari Rally is something that we're happy to welcome back. It's a good omen, given that we've been in this COVID-19 nonsense for the last year or two. So it's a good wind of fresh breath there.
It proceeds to your direction.
Yes, we really welcome Safari Rally. In fact, after 19 years, and we are thrilled, just like most Kenyans. Some of us, when we were young, we knew the corners in which we will go and really have a very good view of the Safari Rally. Some of us really couldn't miss. And in Masai land, I have examples of so many leaders, so many diplomats who got their sponsorship from the foreigners that come to witness Safari Rally, or they are also rallying. So this one will open not only the thrill that come with the Safari Rally, but also open our country to investment, because as these competitors come and as all those manufacturers of vehicles come to witness their vehicles competing, I'm sure they will sample some very good investment areas in Kenya. Some of them are now in tourist industries, but they came courtesy of Safaricom, as of courtesy of Safari Rally. In fact, I'm sorry for that. In fact, for now, I'm pretty sure that there will be more hospitality industries that will be open courtesy of those who have come either to witness, or those manufacturers of vehicle, or even from the competitors themselves. It will open our country up, and that is what we are really wanting as a country. At the moment, our country is endowed with a lot of human resource. We have a lot of laborers. We have trained our youth both in degree level, in skilled labor, but unfortunately we cannot be able to get all of them being observed to job opportunities. So I think with the interaction of the international, because at the moment the Kenya is in the world media, it is in the world map, that something is happening here, we'll be able to export some form of labor.
All right. Well, thank you. Daktari, to you, your view on the same, and the game is on starting today.
Yes, and I want to tell the two gentlemen again that from about 9 o'clock I'm going to be dressed in my special suit.
For the same.
Yes, because some of us used to enjoy the East African Safari Rally. My father used to bring me all the way by train, Kenya, East African Railways, in first class coach, seated all the way to Nairobi to see this event. So Hashi, I will be dressed in a special suit today from 9 o'clock, and I will be watching this. Sankok, I will make sure that I send you a picture. But on a serious note, I want to thank this lady, Dr. Mohammed, Ambassador Amina Mohammed. This time, and there is another special lady there in her ministry. She has been so good on media, telling us whatever is happening, whether running 10 kilometers, 100 kilometers. She has done very well. Rose Wachuka. Thank you very much for informing us. Most of us who know what it is, we used to enjoy it during Easter holiday. And I think, Ash, you remember that.
Yes,
Easter holiday. It was the longest holiday when you could come to Nairobi and see this Wazungu from all parts and everybody, India, where coming to Kenya. But on a nutshell, not in a nutshell,
you know,
it has now shown that the Minister of Sports
Hashi would love to say something.
We don't, you know, Matsanga, if we let you continue talking, you'll take over the show.
All right, don't worry.
So,
I'm in charge. Worry not, I am in charge. Here's Daktari.
So I want to support what Mr. Matsanga says, my good friend Dr. Matsanga. I think that Dr. Amina Mohammed, every ministry that she's gone to, she's done a wonderful job. In fact, she's now called Amina.com. I think that it's. I'm being very honest. She's a very good minister. She's she did well. I worked with her at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as you know, and she's done well there, and she's done well at education, and she's doing really well at heritage.
Right.
And I think she's doing President Kenyatta proud. She's doing the country proud. The rally is back. The stadiums are functioning. Right. Remember, we were promised by Tanga and Jubilee a long time ago that there was going to be stadiums. No. But now the stadiums are actually coming to life.
Do you share the same sentiments? Let Dr. Sankok come in and then we come back to you, Daktari. Let's allow Honorable Sankok come in and then we come to you.
Mr. Hashi intervenes in our discussion, cuts me short to finish my work. I'm educated more than Mr. Hashi to speak my mind.
All right.
So please come in to finish statements for me. Right. I know Amina, like you know Amina. Let me say it as it is.
All right, make it brief so that we can have Honorable Sankok come in.
Yes, she has done a good.
Daktari, allow us to. All right, Honorable Sankok, and then we come back to you, Daktari. Honorable Sankok.
Yes, first of all, when the stadium were being promised, Tanga was not even formed. Okay. It was just formed recently. But as the Safari Rally take place today, as a family, I'm a family, we are related with the Honorable Kimani Ngunjiri of Bahati.
Right.
And his son will have been today rallying AK-47.
That's true.
Other Kenyanjui, who was rallying on car number 47.
Yeah.
That's why we christened him as AK, other Kenyanjui, 47. And we lost him due to COVID-19 recently. And we buried him recently. As we really watch the Safari Rally, apart from being today a parliamentary session, I will have been in Naivasha to witness the start. But it will take me to tears as I see other rallying and one of my relatives, because we are related with Kimani Ngunjiri, the father. Kimani Ngunjiri and we share the grandfather. Kimani Ngunjiri is not a Kikuyu, he's a Maasai. It's only that my grandfather was in Bahati during this nomadism, and he married there, and he had 7 children. And then unfortunately there was a lot of drought. He could not witness his children dying and perishing because of drought. So he ran away to Narok and married again and left 7 family members, which one of them is the father of Kimani Ngunjiri. So we really mourn the death of, I would have been a competitor and in fact a winner, because I had confidence in the young man. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Indeed, may his soul rest in eternal peace. Daktari, you better close this in a minute or thereabout.
I know how she's not very comfortable, but I want to tell you.
Make it brief,
Talk about the issue.
I am making it brief.
Yes.
Don't fix us. Don't fix us, Jubilee, that we brought this. If you go that angle, Hachi, you want that studio today. I am a friend of Jubilee Party.
But is it not fair to just mention it if there's a problem?
Studio will be hot. I am still supporting President Uhuru Kenyatta, whether I remain one man, one soul, one leg. I will support this gentleman. You remember, let me finish on this. When nobody liked them in 2007, 8, 2010, 2011, I liked them. I took them. I stood as a father in Hague. I took off my clothes at times. I sold my cars to defend them.
But if they have failed to deliver, don't we then question that?
Anybody to insult them at this hour when I'm still alive? No way.
I think you should stop
All
being
right.
a drama queen.
We are actually getting into the politics.
Yeah, let's get into
we
the politics.
are getting into the politics, and I'm even worried how we're going to handle this. If Safari Rally is getting us detailed, yes, Honorable Sankok.
Lastly, we are all supporting our president.
Jubilee, yes.
We support our president.
All right.
So it's only not Masanga who is supporting the president. We, even Hashi, support the president.
Very true.
But when it comes to 2022,
Jubilee today,
if it comes to 2022, it's not one of the competitors in 2022 elections.
Yes.
So we have our preferred candidate in 2022.
Right.
Okay, so
let's get to politics.
Let's get into that. That's a good
First things first.
Yes.
IBC is throwing in some fear to us that, well, they say they're not ready for the poll. They've not been well fueled. And that is our greatest fear. I mean, if at all they're going to take us for an election, are they well prepared? And, in that also, they speak of the fact that they're not going to loop in the 70 new constituencies that the BBI bill proposes.
Yeah. Very quickly, before I get into that, I think the honourable member is right.
Yeah.
I support President Kenyatta very strongly because my political party called the Orange Democratic Movement is
in bed with the government.
Is in bed with the government.
Okay.
And I couldn't have put it better. And we are going as a coalition to the election.
That's a deal.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes. We are going into government. We are going to defeat William Ruto and his Tangatanga group in the coming election.
All right.
And the two behemoths, the political giants of this country, the Honorable President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, are probably going to start campaigning soon. And on the issue of the IEBC, I think that...
I think I want us to expound on this before we even get to the IEBC issue.
Fine.
Because reality is that the likes of... woman rep of Kiambu has just defected to Tangatanga. How can you say that you're going to defect? Jubilee is a shell?
Yeah, these people are going to lose elections because when the candidates that are put into the Mount Kenya areas of Rift Valley and the other places where President Kenyatta's party has influence, I think that it's going to be a clean sweep. Mr. Kenyatta is the leader.
Is that what we've seen with by-elections
yes,
as a litmus test?
By-elections do not determine the national sway of this country. Look, even ODM lost an election in Musambweni, but that doesn't mean that ODM is going to lose an election in the whole country.
Right.
Mr. Kenyatta is a powerful political figure in this country. Anybody who thinks that they're going to come against these two giants in this country are going to be crushed politically come 2022.
All right. BBI was equally a litmus test. I don't know whether it still holds. Honorable Sankok.
So, of course, Uhuru Kenyatta is a very powerful political figure in this country, but retiring in 2022.
Yes.
Raila Odinga, former Prime Minister, is also quite, to some level, powerful political figure, but he's tired and will retire. And if he will not retire voluntarily, we will retire him using the ballot. Because one, he has been the greatest loser in the planet. Because he have lost around 6 times. He lost in 1997, he lost in 2007,
4 or 5.
He lost in 2013, he lost in 2017 2 times.
Yes.
So he holds a record, and we will actually be able to put in the Guinness Book of Record as one of the greatest losers of our time.
Okay.
So for us, as Tangatanga, we are not worried. Because we don't even know whom we are competing with. They are not even organized themselves. I saw sometimes them parading themselves, 7 of them, that they want to come together. Not because of any agenda, not because of what they want to do to Kenyans, but because they want to defeat William Samoei Ruto. And I'm telling you, just like Deuteronomy 28:7, they will go into 7 different
Please don't get Hashi lost.
No, I'm just telling you the truth.
No, I know about Detroit.
Right.
And
I went to St.
let me
Mary's
tell you
Catholic School.
how they are coming together is like the proverbial rats and cats. The proverbial cat and the rat. You remember that they say not Tom and Jerry. They say that how do we survive the attack of the cat, the rats? They say now the only way to survive
is for us to come together, unite, and put a bell on the cat so that we can hear the cat coming.
Okay.
Now they decided that they will put, and that is, they say that is a perfect idea.
Right.
We'll be hearing the cat coming. The cat will not be crawling and coming.
So the cat in this case is the DP.
No, listen. So then they said that is the perfect idea. They went and slept. Now the following day, they now decided, let us go and put the bell on the neck of the cat. Now the question is, who will put the bell
on
the neck of the cat?
Hashi, let's be fair. Let's be fair and loop in Dr. Masanga.
No, Dr. Masanga, but first, let's get Kenyans. Kenyans, you know, me and him are both from Masailand. So
Yes.
we've got a sense of what's going on in this country more than Matsanga. So I think that...
Matanga will not accept that.
No, wait.
Then why did I come? Why did I come on the...
Dr. Hold it. We're coming to you today. You have the right to respond.
Let me just finish my point, and then you can give it to Masanga.
Make it 30 seconds.
You are the one.
So
Yes.
Come on, hold this guy. Come on, just one. She is taking charge.
She is now the
Give
one.
me the chance.
Make it 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Let's allow him to make
You're
it 30
in charge.
seconds. Then
He's
we'll go
not
to
listening.
Daktari. You know, I'd
Wait,
love for Daktari to
Andika Jina,
respond to
we
the same.
Are you the host?
Gentlemen, we need
No, are you the
to...
host?
Yes, stop shouting.
We need to have
at her.
order.
Don't shout. It's not
And you
nice
know-
to shout at
If
women.
you are the host...
Don't do that.
Dr.
Very
Masanga,
bad.
Dr. Masanga.
Dr. Masanga is out of order. I have to
Dr.
30
Masanga,
seconds. You
Dr.
gave me 30
Masanga.
seconds. Please let me say my 30 seconds.
Do you give him 30 seconds? Yes, you give him 30
so
seconds.
I think that if he went into Masailand to look for an election, no, he's nominated, he's not elected.
Right.
So in Masailand, where I'm
you have
from,
never been in parliament, so
Let's have some order, Wishimiwa, yes.
I'm not interrupting you. So if you speak again,
30
I'm going to
seconds,
interrupt you.
No, you have...
Okay, so
you tried as much...
Your 30 seconds are out. Your 30 seconds are out. Dr. Masanga, Sankok says that the constitution
wouldn't win an election in
automatically
Masailand.
roots out President Uhuru Kenyatta. Do you agree? I mean, based on what we have seen, go back to history, go back to the DRC, and we remind ourselves of how we've seen incumbents, you know, sort of toying with the constitution to extend their term limits and all that. Do you agree in Kenya's case, we have gotten to that democratic maturity space where, again, President Uhuru Kenyatta is going to nobly exit the stage? With talks that many argue he is young, still young.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Linda. I will debate with decorum.
Yes.
And I don't understand my brother Ashi, who's advocating for African unity, at the same time excluding me from a debate. It is sorry, it's prudish, it's sardonic, it's the most silly thing I've ever heard about. It is a man who comes on TV who tells people that he wants Kenya to protect Ethiopia. At the same time, he doesn't want Matanga even to speak.
Okay, make your point.
It's sad. Two,
Interrupt people. Allow people.
I was
You are the one
going to
who's
be on
teaching you to
his,
interrupt people.
I was going to be on his side.
Yes.
One, I support President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta as a Pan-African. I have supported him. I support these younger people from 2008 when they had nobody to support them. Sangok, thank you very much for your support. You are watching me from the behind the scenes. Later on, you came on the scenes. We went together. People pointed fingers at these two younger men. They wanted them jailed. I am now very shocked to see the same jailers, the men who wanted them jailed. They are together, which is reconciliation, which I preach in Africa. I have forgiven everybody who wanted me to be arrested by Ocampo. I was arrested, so I ordered my arrest. I am here today speaking with a lot of better heart from God. Two, the question of Tanga and whatever the situation. On this one, I lie squarely with the handshake. You can go to God, Angel Gabriel, and ask him. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta stood, Raila Amolo Odinga stood.
Very good.
They crossed and said enough is enough. No bloodshed should ever come in our country,
Very true.
in your country, in this region because of an election, because of issues which are 9 points. The 9 points are very clear. The 9 points are part of what Kenyans face. Sangok Every 5 years, there is tension. Now see, in the studio there, you can see tension. Even Sankok is not allowed to speak. Even Hashi is not allowed to speak. They both come from Masai land. But there is tension. That is the tension that Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta wanted to stop. So that when you win an election, there are two speeches you make. And Hashi and Dr. Sankok will agree with me. A losing speech and a winning speech. I swear in the name of God, most of the people in Africa, very few write two speeches. And that is where the problem is. So what Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga wanted to heal forever is to bring about unity of purpose. Unfortunately, the Jubilee Party, where I am a friend, I am not a voter in this country. I'm a friend like a communist party could be friendly to Jubilee Party. You have no right to tell me who I should be friendly with. And you die because you don't determine my destiny. I am a friend of Jubilee Party. I support President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. I will support him whether we remain one. But this Jubilee, this man here, Tanga, this one, this Mr. Sankok, my friend, I am going to have a very serious discussion with him when outside the studio. Outside the studio. Look, the people who are defecting to as I summarize, the people defecting to Tanga group. Sangok, nobody has accused you of having taken money from anywhere. You're a clean man. Wamuchomba and others. These people
are taking money.
They have taken taxpayers' money.
Oh,
yes, allegations. It is alleged.
To say something now.
And let me be honest.
Yes,
most
allow
of
the gentleman to come in.
People from the Central Province have tags of corruption.
All right, Daktari, hold it right there. And coming to you, Hashi, we are talking about the handshake. Daktari, we're going to come back to you. We're talking about the handshake. Yes. And initially, these two principals or these two gentlemen spoke of the fact that it is a unifying factor. They said that this has got nothing to do with politics. But today, we're talking about a coalition. Were they trying to toy around with the brains of Kenyans when they said it had nothing to do with 2022?
Look, we're not here to insult the intelligence of the people of this country. This country was at the precipice of a civil war and division. Some counties were calling for secession from Kenya.
Yes.
They swore Raila Odinga at Uhuru Park when the sun was shining, and we nearly had two presidents in this country. It is into the great effort of President Uhuru Kenyatta, who was an implacable foe of Mr. Raila Odinga, for both of them to reach out to each other, sense of maturity, and to shake hands and say, we have to put this country in a different direction. And I think that is probably the most important handshake that has ever happened in this country. And this comes from the roots, from the very founding myths of our country, where Jaramogi Odinga and the late President Jomo Kenyatta was split by the ideological Cold War at that time to two different camps. And from that day on, this country has been a barracks of armed tribal groupings. And at every elections we have come, there's been violence and death in this country. When these two leaders came together and said we're going to put an end to it, I think the entire country sighed, had a sense of relief, and said for once these two groups, which have always competed for power, are coming together and they're going to try and heal this nation. Now, other Kenyans have every right to say, no, we will have other leaders. They have every right to try and put another person at the ballot because we're a democracy. But everybody understands one thing, and one thing only, is that this country, the political giants of this country have been these two gentlemen, and the problems have emanated from their political parties. And now that they're together, ODM and the Jubilee are together, we're looking forward to a country that is going to get peace, and there's going to be building bridges so that we go to the other side of Canaan and This country does not have to go through political
and
violence
overlook
anymore.
the other political giants that are cropping up, the likes of the DP, who has, you know, some good, of course, chunk of numbers, and therefore overlooking him then would equally not guarantee the people of Kenya peace, maybe.
First of all, Linda, allow me to commend the earlier statement from Hashi, that he also come from Maasai land.
Yeah.
The Maasai name Hashi, I'll still go and read the history of the Maasai and realize where it is found.
Okay.
And again, he said that I cannot win an election. I'm just a nominated member of parliament. And I agree. In the pecking orders, of course, it is an elected member of parliament and then probably nominated member of parliament. Now, as a perennial aspirant, where does he now fall in the pecking orders? And a perennial loser for that matter.
Loser for that matter.
Now, let me come now to because, you know,
but I haven't stood for elections. This is my first time, to be honest.
You know, Nyani, I want to kundule. He just going on somebody that you are not.
But I haven't stood for elections.
He has a right to reply though later.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Let's go back to the issue of the handshake.
Yeah.
And as Kenyans, what have we reaped from the handshake? First of all, there was a handshake between Raila Odinga and Kibaki. Yes? And what came out is not a coalition government, but a coalition government where there was massive graft and there was massive political misunderstanding.
Okay.
And then again, there is the second one of Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, where then we came up with the Kamsa Hayes, we came up with the COVID-19 billionaires, and so on, and the Mafia House. But there is something common in these two handshakes, and that is the name Raila Odinga. Again, there is something common in the 1997 post-election violence. The name Raila Odinga was the one who actually read the rejection speech. In 2007, again, the name Raila Odinga was in the ballot box and literally used the bridge of dead bodies to get a coalition government. And then in 2013, we also had some violence and the same name appeared. In 2017, the same name was in the ballot box and we were actually at the brink of a civil war. And he actually swore himself. So we can confidently say that in Kenya post-election violence, there have been a single denominator of that violence in the name of Raila Odinga.
Okay.
And you know, we cannot shy from speaking the truth. And even himself, he have confirmed what I have always been saying, that he is the single denominator of violence. First of all, through shaking hands with Kibaki, then there was no violence. So who was the cause? Through shaking hands with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, then the country all of a sudden became peaceful. So we know who is the cause. Now, let me tell you.
Make it brief.
BBI referendum is not the solution to post-election violence because Kenyans, in between election, are very peaceful. We have intermarried from each other. I have told you, Kimani Ngunjiri, we are related with the Kimani Ngunjiri.
Yeah.
We do business together. We do partnership together. We do ceremonies together as Kenyans. What normally happens is only during the election. And not only in every election, because in 2002, the name Raila Odinga was missing and we were very peaceful. During the election in which the single denominator of violence appeared. And in fact, even his name appeared in 1982 coup. So when there was any violence in Kenya, there's one single name that cannot miss. It
Wait
can
a minute.
never be a coincidence.
Hashi, before we come back to you, I want Dr. Masanga to weigh in on this. And Dr. Ari, kindly make this brief. And about, a while back, I have heard your arguments on other platforms, and there's a point, there was this argument of, why is it that Africa has these presidents who will always want to be lifetime presidents? And you've raised this concern about the opposition leaders or opposition figures, that the same opposition figures that complain about the African leaders or the presidents that would wish to stay in power forever are the same opposition figures day in, day out, probably alluding to what it is that Honorable Sankok speaks about. Is it time that Honorable Raila Odinga takes the Kiza Besigye way and decides to take a backseat and front an individual that will be...
Kenya will be safe.
Oh, now, let me tell you, I'm one of those who told Kiza Besigye that this time don't stand because I'm a veteran. I have never, since 1982, when I started fighting President Museveni in the bush, up to today, never surrendered. And I told Besigye, leave. We have done our best. We have brought peace in northern Uganda. Don't stand this time. Leave the younger generation to go and let's guide them. And I want to tell you the truth. Linda, Besigye listened to me. And he did not stand this time. 2, we don't want to go further than on this one today, Sangok. I am with the handshake. You can swing, you can win, you can take Kwamuchomba, you can take Moses Kuria who brought witnesses. Yeah, let me be honest. Take them. But there is one most important thing. You must remember, my brother. Why do we fight and kill each other at the election time or during election time or after elections? If Uhuru Kenyatta is seeking unity or purpose, of which he briefed his deputy, the deputy brought 2 men on the handshake, on the BBI committee. He gave the names, and I have evidence in black and white. Sengoko, you know me. If you don't, I bring it out. So that was very clear that Dr. William Samoei Ruto accepted the question of BBI. Raila Odinga, whether he has been whatever you want to describe, Paul changed. You a Christian man, a Muslim.
Dr. There's a bit of trouble with your network. Let's allow us to fix that. Allow us to fix that. We take a quick break and then we come back to you.
Look at my turn.
After this break.
At Global Precast, we have quality, durable and affordable precast panels to suit all your needs. Manufactured under a controlled environment, we have the best precast concrete panels, precast concrete floor slabs, precast concrete perimeter wall, precast concrete columns and beams. Our panels reduce construction cost by up to 40% with absolutely no plaster required, including added soundproof benefits, convenient for-story buildings, schools, offices and warehouses. Take advantage transport. Contact us 224-7267 or 0796-247267. Global Precast, your option for efficient construction.
These are the sights and sounds of a working nation. There are no shortages to remarkable ideas. What's missing is
stay relevant. If you don't, you're going to fade off.
The real meat on these bones comes from trying to realize them.
You just need to perfect anything. If it's drawing, music,
the stories of these executed ideas, because yours could be next. Mondays, 7:30 p.m.
That's hitting the right notes. When life gets boring, we bring out our play. You see, is in our DNA. It's in the way we move and laugh. It's in the way we walk, the way we rock, and how we just don't stop. You feel me? We add color to everything, to every day and every dish, because the world needs our crazy. We're the different flavors that make life more exciting. We're the ones who add color to every moment. Fanta, every moment.
Well, the speaker is neither here nor there.
I should have done here.
Yes, no.
And we're just like that. I look beautiful.
Tune in to Morning Cafe, Mondays to Fridays from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. with me, Linda Alela, only on TV47, the home of Untold Stories.
Miaka 20 safari ilianza ya kutuunganisha kama Wakenya. Twende
If only you had the conversations we had while we were on break. But anyway, that aside, we're back to it. Still with me, Dr. David Ole Sankok, nominated Member of Parliament, Ahmed Hashi, governance expert. They are in studio, and virtually, Dr. David Nyokorach Masanga, Chair Pan-African Forum. Do you want Dr. to wind up on that?
No, I just want to respond just quickly to
I think it's only fair that we allow him to finish his argument.
Fine.
Make it 45 seconds max.
30 seconds.
I will be very straightforward.
Yes.
That on this one, I am with Hashi, I'm with Raila, I am with Uhuru Kenyatta. I'm not with Ruto.
Very good.
And that
don't you think they can as well say somebody else Tosha, the way they did with Kibaki, and we still have the handshake and the peace?
Ruto, Sangok is not more of a friend to you than me, who went and said the only
At Global Precast Panels, we have the best quality, durable, and affordable precast.
Young men should not be taken down. Today you are Sankoko, you are eating with enemies. Omar Hassan, Muzama, David Indi. These are the people. Sankoko, you want to come to this studio and tell me that you have already forgotten? Forgive.
Very good.
But don't forget. Yes. This, what Hash is saying is this country needs peace.
Yes.
Let's not go back to fighting, to killing each other every 5 elections. I am one man who can speak without fear of contradiction. On the question of these 2 gentlemen. One, Mudhama sat with Waki, they collected a list. Today you say is your chairman UDA. Wewe ndugu yangu mpenzi.
Wacha Hashi aingie daktari.
Unanionea.
Shida gani?
All right, Hashi.
I just want
daktari, let's allow Hashi come in.
I just want to say the record of
I summarize.
I just want to put to the table
a
few facts. I've been in politics longer than my good friend here on the left, and this is the first time I'm seeking political office. I've never run for any other election, and I'm going to win, God willing. Now, what I want to say is that Raila Odinga spent 9 years in solitary confinement. When you see him taking a handkerchief and doing this, it's because they didn't put him out in the sun. They tortured him inside the cells, and his physical condition has deteriorated because he fought for the freedoms of this country. You know, we should never say, and especially both of us who are from Masai land, we're people who honor bravery and honor and things like that. We are brought up with it. It is very important to know the struggle of this man for this country. He helped bring a new constitution to this country. He did. He has brought democracy to this country. If we were not for Raila Odinga, we would be in a fascist police state still in this country. We ought to accept one fact in life, that when you can refuse to accept the policies of Mr. Odinga, you can say, I don't accept him as a leader, but he was not the person who was in Hague. He was not the person who was named to go there. You know, the fact we cannot just make topsy-turvy comments about people in this country and their struggles. We know what has happened. So what I'm saying is, it's legitimate to have a party called UDA. It's legitimate to have another party called ODM to go and ask the people of this country for the ballot. But we should not twist and turn the facts of the history of this country. Second point. The coalition between Mr. Kenyatta and Mr. Odinga is based on the... His Excellency, I agree with you. His Excellency President Kenyatta is a historic handshake that brings us to the cusp of bringing peace to this country. And if we do not bring peace into this country, my dear, everybody atakwenda kwao na hatutaki nchi haribike. So Mr. Sangwa, as Mr. Matsanga, and I agree with Mr. Matsanga that the direction of this country is now being firmly set by these 2 leaders, and we urge our nominated MP to follow us and join this political movement.
If it was necessary to bring Raila Odinga on the table, why is it not necessary to make sure that you maintain the DP?
Let him speak.
You know, we cannot idolize somebody in the name of Raila Odinga, because for the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, how many Kenyans voted for it? How many were in the years come? Why should it be one single character?
Individual, okay.
Individual. You know those who fought for the second liberation of this country, Kina Matiba and others. I cannot mention all of them. All of us were in the struggle. I was a Sonu chairman in the University of Nairobi. And so all of us who voted yes brought the Constitution of Kenya 2010. So it's not one single character. Again, I want to thank Dr. Masanga. Of course, we differ with him sometime, but we were with him in Hague. And I remember very well that we were almost arrested also because we fought with the civil societies who are actually evil society. I used my crutches as weapons of mass destruction to fight that time. Unfortunately, I was fighting with a lady from, I think it was from France. And I really had to hold her. She removed her t-shirt. So we had to use her t-shirt to try and identify the t-shirt by wiping our shoes with. But unfortunately, the shoes were...
We did it.
Yes. And she actually accused me
and I wanted
molesting
to strip her neck.
By touching, I think, her breast.
You did not?
And I didn't, although I felt something quite soft.
You did.
I don't know which part of the body.
Okay. We're not going to glorify
but
that.
I was not,
That was not the point of interest.
I was not interested with any soft part. What I was interested in was a t-shirt written, Rule 68. At that time, they wanted us to apply Rule 68 retrogressively. Yes, by bringing in the candid evidence. And when it touches on my president and my deputy president, and somebody pretending to be of a civil society, they are from evil society, try to excite emotions so that they can get ownership.
After all that battle, do you think the deputy president has been shortchanged with your president?
No. Because, let me tell you, the deputy president will be voted by Kenyans, not by one single individual.
Okay.
And again, there is no one day the deputy president say that Uhuru Kenyatta owe him anything. And it is in the public domain that my president, in Uhuru Park, in Afra Stadium, in front of men of God, in front of a congregation, in front of God, say that 10 year Uhuru, 10 year Ruto. And for us, I still believe that my president will be the chief campaigner of William Samoei Arap Ruto.
You still hold your hopes high.
Let me tell you, nobody owes an individual any debt. But we owe Almighty God a debt, because when we made that sacred pronouncement, it was in daylight, broad daylight, in front of men, in front of women.
In the past days, I have seen these Tanga guys arguing that there's still Jubilee. There's just something that they're not telling us that is happening.
Can I tell you why they're doing that?
Yes.
They believe that this is a church movement. This is politics.
Okay.
This is not a church movement. It's not this is not an evangelical movement. We are in politics, in multi-party democracy. So people have a right to move from one camp to the other camp. And President Kenyatta, His Excellency President Kenyatta, is not a president of Jubilee. He's not a president of ODM. He's the president of the Republic of Kenya.
Yes.
And when he sat on that seat, he swore to defend the Constitution and from enemies from within and from enemies without. So we have some enemies within, like Mr. Songok here, who we need to defend this country against.
I'm not Songok, I'm
Sangok Polendugu or Bayan. Sangok, we need to defend this country. So because we want to create a platform to peace. We want to go to the promised land. We want to go to Canaan. We don't want wars.
The journey to Canaan is on.
Yes.
All right.
We don't want. I didn't say anything when you're talking. So can we just finish? I just can give people. They should not gang up on me while I'm talking.
I'm dropping you in a second, Daktari.
So I think that it is topsy-turvy and a form of charlatanism to say that Mr. Kenyatta, President Kenyatta, and Prime Minister are cheating people in this country. We're not. Mr. Ruto should go to his political party and find out what the vote he has in this country. He should not stick himself to President Kenyatta and try and expose him as a betrayer. This is politics. This is not a clergy where people are trying to convert people to Christianity or Islam.
All right. Okay. IEBC. Dr. Masanga, IEBC.
Oh, that's it.
IEBC.
Linda.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I have heard the arguments of my brother, and I want first to clear the air.
Okay.
the CCTV in The Hague exonerated me and Sankok that we did not touch the breasts of Gladwell Otieno.
Oh my goodness.
The police, I am the one who tore the T-shirt.
All right.
The T-shirt which had been where they have written that Uhuru, Kenyatta and Ruto are murderers.
Yes.
I tore the T-shirt in a technical way. I'm a soldier. I never touched her breasts.
Yes.
Because I have a very beautiful wife.
But we
moving on swiftly, Dr.
The police in the Netherlands cleared us.
Okay.
So Hashi don't make it a subject that I and Sankok became.
I didn't. Did I speak about
that?
I didn't speak about it.
He's just questioning you.
He's the one who brought it up.
Point number two. On the question of the IEBC, do you know that what I want to tell you people? If I were President Uhuru Kenyatta and the MP Sankok, just move a motion and take Mr. Chebukati home. Pay him.
Actually, I agree.
Pay him whatever. Just don't allow him to touch your barrels.
Is it so?
Yeah.
You want me to come on national television and tell a lie to Kenyans?
Yeah, right.
This guy is going to bring you more chaos, more tears.
I agree.
More tears than joy.
You need to substantiate that.
Let's go to IEBC now.
Back and go. Get a new IEBC, put their regulations that can conduct.
We still have constitutional timelines that would allow us that.
Balanced. The what?
Constitutional timelines that would allow us that. Maybe Honorable Sankok should come in.
The Constitution was not made in stone.
Okay.
Neither is it a stone.
It's dynamic.
You can change the Constitution to amend, to remove, and pay Chebukati to go away. Chebukati should not handle any ballot. Do you know why we lost the election? Sangoko, wait.
Dr. Do you realize that the previous IEBC or commissioners did not finish their term? Yeah. Are we always going to play that game?
Yes, if they are not doing anything good, we send them home. Hashi.
Yeah.
Look, Deputy Chief Justice Mwiru asked one question. And Sankoko, you remember, she said, where did you put spoiled ballots? That was the end of our election. Chebukati could not explain where spoiled ballots were. Now you want to allow a man again who did not explain where the spoiled boxes were.
Who says they're going to open the server in 2022.
Let's allow. I'm sorry, Hashi and Sankok. That's my view.
Okay. Honorable Sankok.
Yes, in fact, on this one again, I will differ with Masanga. And I did not differ with him when people came in the pretense there were civil societies with T-shirts written that Uhuru and Kenya and Ruto were murderers. You can imagine, inside the Assembly of State Parties, in the chambers, it was not very good for us to witness such cases. But anyway, I differ with him on this one. We removed Kivuitu from SK. Did it solve our problem? No. We removed Isaac Hassan. Did it solve any problem? Chiloba is home. Now we want Chebukati to be home. Will it solve any problem? It will not solve. I have told you the single denominator of violence. If we can fix so that we can have an election like that one of 2002, where the name, the single denominator of violence, that name does not appear, we will be peaceful, because in 2002, Uhuru was a gentleman enough, accepted the outcome of the election, because we don't have any problem with the winner of the election. The winners of the election are in fact celebrating. We have a problem with that perennial loser who keep on rejecting. In fact, he has become a professional rejecter of an election. And in fact, I'm bringing amendment to the Election Act that also the term limit of a contestant should also be there. So that if my friend here, a Maasai like me, loses an election and loses 2 times or 3 times, if then the term limit of the position that is vying for is 2 terms, also you...
Though not
vie for
taking
2
a
terms.
negative angle, don't you think you're as well idolizing Right Honorable Raila Odinga in this case?
No. I'm saying the truth. You know, I've given you the facts. And you know, Linda, facts are stubborn. If I say 2002 we were peaceful, and I say the name of Raila Odinga was missing, am I speaking rocket science or is it a fact?
Was it the name missing or it was the procedure that was taken? The fact that he had backed?
No. It's the same guy who was
He said he backed Joshua.
Who was the chairman of SK at that time? Who was the chairman? Who was in charge of that election? Who was in charge? Yes, I'm telling you, it is not the issue. We cannot keep on changing the referee because we are losing.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Hashi.
So, you know, Mr. Chebukati said 2 things. I don't want to revisit the history of the Electoral Commission because, you know, one of the biggest problems we have in this country and in the rest of the continent is that we are unable to fix our electoral commissions. In every other country in the world, an electoral commission, citizens who volunteer to sit somewhere and the ballot is cast and they are counted and it's a clean election.
Right.
We spend billions and billions and billions upon billions of shillings on the Electoral Commission. We should not be doing that. It should not take more than 1 or 2 billion shillings to run an election in this country. I know democracy is expensive because we have to find the will of the people. But how can this Chebukati tell us that he cannot give the constituencies that are in the BBI
70?
Yeah, 70 of them before 2022.
Yeah.
What the hell is he talking about? The entire BBI is premised on making sure that constituencies in this country who have huge amounts of population to get the seats that they deserve. You know, there is some people who represent 2,000 people, and there's some people who represent 100,000 people.
Yeah.
They are not equal. There's a concept in Latin called primus inter pares. There's always the first among equals.
Yes!
So the concept of this electoral commission to tell us that they are not going to be doing their job against 2022, the standing committee in the legal parliament, I hope you're in that committee, should investigate this man and investigate this electoral, because I smell a fish in there.
Do you still think that BBI has a lifeline?
No. BBI is the popular will of this country. It was passed by every county legislator by an overwhelming...
Still has a lifeline?
Yeah, what lifeline? It is the aspiration of the people of this country.
Just a minute.
Yes,
Come on.
yes,
Just a minute. First of all, Chebukati is only speaking what the law says. 1 year to an election.
You cannot.
You cannot change the boundaries. You cannot increase constituency. You cannot even hold an what do you call a by-election 1 year before the election. So it's just speaking what the law says. Right. BBI, if you will have done the referendum before the 2nd week of August, Chebukati gave you that option, and actually Chebukati said they were ready for the referendum.
Those are tactics.
They are
of
willing
Tanga.
to do the referendum. But what happened? It is the court which nullified that issue called BBI. It is not. And let me tell you, it is not Chebukati. So Chebukati is just following the law. That is my point on BBI, submission of that. And then when it comes to the issue of
IEBC or what? Or
IBC, Electoral Commission.
As you gather that thought, allow us to look at Dr. Masanga.
Yes.
Dr. Masanga.
And then you'll give me to come back because
why do you
he interrupted me.
All right. Why would you equate a court procedure as a Tanga tactic?
Yay.
No. Because Sangok is a very good Christian, and I don't like him to follow this thing badly. You a Christian, Bwana. We were going to be killed because of this Ruto. You and I. We were going to leave our children. Ruto will not be looking after our children. Don't follow like that. There is nothing. You people play the tactics to delay. We know what you do. The telephones that you use, we know what you use. Everybody hears them.
Those are quite heavy allegations, Daktari.
No, I am not. No, of course I hear. Sankoko's telephone. Yeah, I know what Sankoko always plans.
Do you then say that the courts are not independent?
He's my friend. Yes. The point here I am making, and which Hashi has done very well there, the IEBC operated as a clandestine operation against BBI. And that is, I have videos of the chairman of IEBC.
Gentlemen, we only have 3 minutes.
Can I have the no, wait.
Yes.
Can I make my statement?
Yes.
I have evidence showing the chairman of IEBC meeting Punguza Muziko man.
There's a right place to present that evidence.
Now, if we go to court, I will produce it. You think you joke with me? I will produce it.
All right.
Me and
so we know what
Dr. Ngok,
we know what Chebukati we know what Chebukati has been doing with Sengoko.
Okay.
Sengoko team, we know what you have been doing.
I can't say
quite heavy allegations.
Yes. Wait,
quite heavy.
I'll defend you on this one. Okay. Come on.
Let it
I'll
come
defend you
out.
on that one.
Yes.
You hired the three professors.
I think that Mr. Matsanga is making very serious allegations.
Yeah.
And I think that there's nobody listening to the Electoral Commission. It's illegal. I don't think the state is doing that.
I'm not saying we are listening to Electoral Commission. No. I am saying the telephones that everybody, me and the Sankok, we listen to each other.
We have the investigative entities, Dr. This can be presented to them.
The government has a right to listen.
There's nothing wrong.
We can just finish. Matsanga. This show is not about Matsanga, it's about the Electoral Commission. So if the electoral, if in this country the government has to provide security.
Let's allow him to make his point, Dr. We only have 3 minutes, and therefore we need to fix this. Yes.
When you Sebo, be quiet for 1 second.
My statement
no, you are
coming. You are not coming.
We're going to come back to you, Dr. to wind up.
We can't hear you. So I'm trying to say the government has a right to get security, to protect its citizens, and to make sure. The government doesn't have any right to get into the private telephone conversations of anybody in this country. It's illegal. It's against the Constitution, and I reject that.
That is debatable, though. That is debatable.
If they're listening to a security issue, if terrorists want to attack us, then they have to listen.
Yes.
But our private rights also have to be respected. But also, the substantive issue of this debate is the Electoral Commission. It is not listening to people's telephones. So the Electoral Commission should not say that it cannot do its job. It cannot tell us that we are going to a referendum where we are going to promulgate a new constitution and they cannot implement it. What the hell are they doing in that Electoral Commission if they can't do what their job is supposed to be doing?
I will treat this as your parting short.
Okay, now.
No, I'm coming back to you, Dr. Yes.
Yes. I have been. It is not fair. It is not fair for you to call us here and allow one panelist to become a moderator.
He's just trying to look at the aspect of time. All right, Dr. make your point.
Mr. Hashi, please, don't become a moderator. You don't teach me. You did not teach me. I have a right to speak my mind.
Make your point.
Don't become a moderator on a TV which is not yours. You do not call us here to be moderated by Hashi.
It's all right, Dr.
We're on the same team. Make your point.
You have been threatening Songkok. You can't threaten me.
I've not threatened you, have I?
Proceed, Dr. Make your point.
Moderator, please.
Make your point.
Linda, thank you very much. And I thank God that my friend, Dr. Masanga, is not here with us today because he was in the studio. Then we will have seen something with my friend.
We're coming to you, Dr. Yes. Close this. Honorable Sankok.
I've never met with Chebukati. I don't have his number. So I've never called him, and I wish I will have his number. And if he's listening to me, he can share his number with me so that we can discuss a few things of how to handle an election, because I'm also an expert in election matters. Now, the last thing is that if they are saying BBI is a popular initiative, there are two ways of bringing a constitutional amendment, that is through a popular initiative and through a parliamentary initiative. Now, in a popular initiative, it is presumed that it is an initiative from Wanjiko who complained of some issues in the constitution, some article in the constitution. But then, in this one, it was the two brothers. And by all description, they are not Wanjikos.
All right.
So I think they had a chance to use the parliamentary initiative, using the majority leader, minority leader in parliament, but let us wait for Wanjiko to say, this article is bad, like Person with Disability saying, Article 54 have a problem. And then they initiate.
And B, the DP equally was involved on this procedure. As we close, Dr. 30 seconds.
DP is not me. And I'm
Dr. Are you there?
He's not there.
Dr. Masanga, 30 seconds.
I'm listening.
30 seconds, your parting shots.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me for this morning. And I believe that what we have talked today will make an impact. One of the things that we must know and the Sankoko must take to Tanga Tanga group is you have destroyed the legacy. You have tried to destroy the legacy of Uhuru Kenyatta. You have done it. You are openly rejoicing. But the handshake is the only way out.
All right.
If you don't unite as Kenyans, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, Hashi,
I just
we
want to
cannot.
wish the best for the people of this country. Now, please wear your masks.
Yeah.
Na kumbuka your
Get
neighbor.
safe.
Nchi iko mahali mbaya.
That's
Tukae
true.
pamoja na Mungu abariki Kenya na Afrika.
Amen to that. Thank you so much, Ahmed Hashi, governance expert, Honorable David Olensa Konk, nominated member of